Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyyina wa imamina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Inshallah, before Salat al-Maghrib, we'll take some questions. And after the Salat, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, we'll move forward with our normal monthly class from the Sunan of Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah, the two chapters, Kitab al-Sunnah and Kitab al-Adab, the book pertaining to the holistic creed of Islam and Islamic conduct, Islamic manners, Islamic behavior. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So if there are any questions that we happen to have from the brothers and sisters here, we'll take them now before Salat al-Maghrib because of the time. And after Salat al-Maghrib, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, will be our normal class. And inshallah ta'ala, after our class, we'll also have an opportunity for a question and answer session as well. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. So the floor is open if anyone has any questions, and if not, alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah.
Question.
Bismillah.
What should you do if someone doesn't return your salams?
Question says, if someone does not return the salams, what should you do? Several scenarios. A simple generic answer would be make an excuse for them. Have the best thoughts for your Muslim brother and sister in Islam. Make an excuse. Be stupid. Be naive. Maybe they didn't hear me. Maybe he has a hearing problem. Maybe my words weren't clear. And I would smile and I would say it again in a clearer manner with even more friendliness. Assalamu alaikum. And if they don't give you the salams after you made it clear and plain, you're cheesing, showing your teeth, then walk away. There's nothing to say to that person because in most cases, whatever you're saying, they aren't willing to hear or to listen to. Person is not going to give you salams after you've clearly given them salams for one of the following reasons. Number one, race. You're of a different race or ethnicity than I am, and either you're not a true Muslim, or you're a munafiq, a hypocrite, or you don't deserve the salams. And all of those options are all messed up. And if it isn't an issue of race, then it can be an issue of ideology or school of thought. You, the way you're dressed and the way you look like you go to this masjid. Or you look like you follow these people. You're wearing a turban, you have a beard, or whatever, and I don't mess with you. You're a deviant, you're incorrect, whatever the reason. And there's no reasoning with that type of person. Someone who doesn't know you, who doesn't know anything about you, who sees you and automatically assumes and judges that you're this and you're that. Whether they're right or wrong in those beliefs. There's no point in you saying anything to that person. Or number three, you're talking to someone who they're not stained, their minds aren't stained with the filth of jahiliyyah, racism, prejudice, nationalism, or Islamic fanaticism, the different types of fanaticism to schools and cliques and gangs. They made us be extremely sinful and extremely worldly. I don't want you to give salams. I don't know why you're not a Muslim. I don't want to be reminded about Islam right now. And you're messing up my eye by giving me salams. You get the point I'm trying to make? So you trying to advise or talk to that person or explain to that person in any of those scenarios, in my humble opinion, is you're just wasting your time. And more importantly than wasting your time is an Islamic principle which the scholars of Islam call at-ta'thim. And at-ta'thim means causing your brother to be sinful. Causing your brother to be sinful. I.e., if you didn't give him salams, no problem. But the moment you gave him the salams, he's now required to do what? Return them. If he doesn't return them, he hasn't given you your haqq. So he's now sinful. And in most cases, this person isn't in the mindset to give to return the salams back. So by you throwing the ball at him, you're now forcing him to do what? Catch it. Versus looking at him, clearly seeing that he's not in a state to catch. You get the point I'm trying to make? So if a person walks into a hookah bar, a nightclub, which can happens, you're looking for some halal food. You Google, oh, you see this place, kebabs, lamb, okay, cool. You get there to the halal restaurant and it's a hookah bar, right? Ever happened to you before? You're looking for halal food, you're driving and it's a restaurant, but it's also a hookah bar with food on the side. So you go in there, into the place, you say, Assalamu alaikum to everybody. And they get up and they look at you like, by you giving them salams, you're now forcing them to return them and they're not in that state. You get the point? So you avoid that. As far as if it's someone that's ignorant, that doesn't know, then you give them advice. You teach them. But what Muslim doesn't know the basics of the salams? Honestly, like let's be honest. What Muslim doesn't know the basics of that? So this is something, the reason why I'm trying to give you as many details as possible is that this is a very popular occurrence in the world, let alone the United States. You can go to a gas station, you can go to an airplane, you could be anywhere and you see someone who's clearly a Muslim and you give them the salams and they will smile or wa alaikum or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, the shaitan doesn't care what you look like. He doesn't care if you got an afro or braids, or he doesn't care what country you come from. He doesn't care your madhab. He doesn't care your aqidah. Shaitan cares about one thing and one thing only. And that is you leaving the correct path. And you going to the hellfire with him. However he can get you there, that's all he's worried about. So if I can get you not to speak to your Muslim brother because a different madhab, or because he has a shaved beard, or because, he's happy. And two Muslims saying, Assalamu alaikum, peace to you, peace be upon you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name, As-salam. So on and so forth, the dynamics of the salams. If two Muslims can do that, the shaitan is going to be mad and angry. Because that's two people that don't have to worry about fighting each other. That's two people that can share a sandwich. That's two people that can get to know each other. There's so much good that can come from breaking the ice with Assalamu alaikum. So shaitan he's vicious. And he does not discriminate. I quote, the shaitan does not discriminate. And many of us think that the shaitan is only going to bother these people and he's not tricking me because I'm on this and I follow this and I go here. Be careful. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Oh yeah, cool. Was there someone else? Tfadal.
You enjoin the good, forbid the evil. Like how far you go? Like meaning you say something, you know, not to be funny, but the brother may start getting in his feelings and get loud, and you know.
Enjoining the good and forbidding the evil is simple. Simple. If you can change it with your hands, you change it with your hands. So an example of this, you're outside, a brother's beating up his wife, abusing his wife, smacking around his wife. All right, no matter what the excuse, no matter what the reason, no matter what's going on, you're supposed to physically grab the brother and pull him away. She did this, she hit him first. This is what I see. This is not okay. You got to stop physically. And if you can't stop him physically, let's say, this is just an example of lack of physical capability. The brother is too strong for you. Just be real. No matter how strong you think he's always, he's just too strong. Or you see the brother is just so out of control that it's going to escalate. You know it's going to escalate. And you may be forced to what? You may be forced to take other measures that you don't want to take against a Muslim. Let's say that. It's going to get ugly if that happens for both of us, physically and spiritually. If the situation escalates. So sometimes you just got to stay away. It's too hot. Or it's too far away from you. Or if you physically stop the brother, you feel like he's going to really, really start beating her up really bad. In other words, you can't physically change the evil. Then you got to say something. How the brother feels, his feelings, who's right, who's wrong, none of that matters. Ittaqillah, stop. You can't do that. You have to speak out against it. Right? And of course, you don't go too far in which you start abusing the person. And you don't go to the point in which it becomes personal, like many of us do. And there's a difference between enjoining the good, forbidding the evil, and advice. Nasiha is what you do with your brother. You pull him to the side. man to man. You say it to someone like Sheikh, Jazakallah khairan. I want to advise you, you shouldn't be wearing a Nike hat, because you say it in private. But if we all agree that wearing Nike is haram, you can't wear a hat, I'm going to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. How? Openly. And I'm not going to take into consideration his what? His feelings or his personal relationship with me. So many people, they mix the what? The two. Enjoining the good and forbidding the evil doesn't need any type of diplomatic, apologetic approach. Personal advice, that's a different story. You don't want to embarrass your brother. You want to advise him. You want to mend the rip in the thobe. You want to stitch it back together. And this is one of the meanings of the word nasiha. The root word of the word nasiha, nun, sad, and ha. Nasaha thoba idha khatahu. The thobe is ripped, let me stitch it back up. You come and you pull, you make it worse. But the evil cannot be dominant. You can do the evil, but you can't do it publicly and openly unless we vigilantly speak out against it. So there are two different aspects, right? And no matter what you do, you are going to know the limits. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala gave a beautiful benefit by saying three things needed when enjoining the good and forbidding the evil: knowledge, gentleness, and patience. Knowledge of what's good and what's bad. Gentleness, even in fixing it and changing it. You go to grab the brother up. You don't hurt the brother unnecessarily. You grip him up, you pull him off. But you don't snap his arm unnecessarily. You can't, go overboard. And last but not least is patience, because he may go back to it. He may curse you out. He may try to swing on you. You mother effer, why you touching me? Mind your effing business. Blah, 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 blah. You got to be patient not to allow your ego to get in the way. You understand? So knowledge, gentleness, and patience. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Wa yakum. Yep.
We got about 5 minutes left.
Okay, inshallah. We'll take one from online. First question says, coming from Manchester, UK. Sheikh, some historians say that the croissant was made to celebrate the defeat of the Ottoman army in 1683. Is it permissible to eat and enjoy the croissant? There are two ways of answering this question.
I like croissants. So.
The first way of answering this question is historically. If you want to deal with history, then yes. It's well known that Christian king, he spoke to his chief baker to celebrate the crushing defeat of the Ottomans. And obviously we don't have a lot of time to talk about the history of the siege of Vienna. And its qadr is done now, hundreds of years ago. But one may say that in theory, there's no reason why they lost. They shouldn't have lost. Everything was set up for the Muslims to win. And for Islam, regardless of what type of Islam it was, Ottoman Islam was going to continue to spread into Europe. And some people say that the loss of the Ottomans at the siege of Vienna was what saved Western Europe. Once you go into Vienna, khalas, hop, skip, and a jump. Right there. Before you know it, you can go to the most further and western tip, to Portugal, France, everything, Switzerland, right there. Okay? So they lost, they were defeated there, and there are different reasons why they lost. And of course, we know that Sun Tzu explains to us that an army defeats itself by violating the rules, breaking the rules. Ignoring the rules and the principles of the art of war is what causes you to lose, especially if you have numerical superiority. It's like sports. There's no reason why this team lost to that team except because of turnovers, penalties, and poor special teams. There's no way that an inferior football team can defeat a superior football team except that you'll find a cause in one of those three. Turnovers, interceptions, and fumbles. Personal foul, offsides, false start, pass interference, and bad special teams. He missed the field goal in the fourth quarter. It was a horrible punt. They had superior field position, and which didn't have to do much to get the points. You get the point I'm trying to make? And obviously all three of those violations are self-inflicted. So just talking about the history now. So in theory, we know it's qadar, we're not going against the qadar, but in theory, the Ottomans should have what? They should have won. There's no reason why they lost, but there were mistakes and errors that they made. And obviously that general, he paid the ultimate price, was life, for making those errors and making those mistakes. And Ottomans were never able to drive further into Western Europe after that loss. So he called on his chief baker to make a delicious, buttery, flaky pastry that was in the symbol of one of the signs of the Ottomans was a crescent moon, as a means of celebration and a means of mockery. That's not a propagandistic lie or rumor. That's a fact. That's proven, okay, according to my humble research. So if you want to deal with it from a historical point of view, no, you can't eat a croissant. It's a means of mocking the Muslims' defeat. If the croissant is buttery and flaky, then bismillah. If it's really good. You guys get the point I'm trying to make. There are many things like this. Different things that come from kufr and shirk and superstition, so on and so forth. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's absolutely haram. But all jokes aside, it just goes to show you the extent of how people hate Islam and Muslims. And that is why the Muslims cannot mess up. Like the sports analogy. Everyone understand this? We're on the road playing in their stadium. Rivals. They hate us. Everyone understand this? They hate everything about our establishment. How are we going to throw them an interception? How you didn't protect the ball. Such a stupid, silly penalty. You gave the referee the ability to throw the flag. So the Muslims got to be tight. You put yourself beyond defeat, he said, and then you're fighting an enemy that's already defeated. So no mistakes, no errors, let alone silly errors, silly mistakes, unforgivable mistakes. So when the Muslims, we make these types of mistakes, we can't get mad at the kuffar for killing and slaughtering. We can't get mad at the kuffar for mocking and making fun of us. We can't get mad at them. Allahu musta'an. Okay, inshallah, this will be our last question before we stop. Questions come from Initials AN from Washington, D.C. Assalamu alaikum, Mufti. Is it permissible to use a urinal? Barakallahu fikum. Well, fikum barakallah. I would advise against using a urinal for several reasons. Using a urinal is based off of another issue that's known to the people of knowledge. It's well known. And that is it lawful or unlawful? Is it disliked to urinate standing up? Some scholars say that it is. You can't urinate standing unless it's a necessity. And if you do so, it's disliked, it's makruh. And other scholars state that there's nothing wrong with urinating standing. Nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with it, as long as your odor is covered and as long as you feel safe from any splashing or ricocheting on your clothes or your skin. If your odor is covered and it's not going to splash on you, then it's lawful to stand up just as it's lawful to sit down. And that's the correct view. Wallahu ta'ala. But when you use a urinal, can you guarantee against your odor being exposed? And the nature of the urinal, can you guarantee that nothing won't splash back on you? If you can, for argument's sake, you have the answer. And if you can't, you have the answer. And obviously the best thing and the safest thing is to avoid using it. Now, there are other things that can be said with regards to a urinal. A Muslim who travels in the airport, the gas station, the rest stop, right? You have to go make wudu, you have to go, use the bathroom, whatever the case may be. And from one aspect, one can say, ease and convenience. It's efficient. And from another aspect, the Muslim who walks out the bathroom is just utterly, confused. The backwardsness of a people in which men can just stand there, pull out their private parts within a few feet of each other like it's nothing. Like it's just normal, it challenges the mind, really. Let alone cleanliness and lack of cleanliness. So it's food for thought. All right, with regards to culture and society, that's oftentimes based off of religious practices. and how the Muslim is supposed to be when he uses the bathroom, right? And of course, there's a argument and a discussion regarding urinating standing. Is it healthy for you? Is it unhealthy for you? Etc. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Hopefully the answer is clear, inshallah. Wallahu alam. We'll stop here. We will have another Q&A, a full Q&A, inshallah ta'ala, after the program, after the workshop. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, jazakumullahu khairan. If you didn't get your question answered now, when we finish the workshop, please tune back in, inshallah.